The security landscape of the Nordic region has changed more in the past 3 years than in the previous 3 decades. What was once considered a stable northern flank of Europe has become one of the most strategically sensitive spaces on the continent. The combination of Russian submarine activity in the Baltic Sea, hybrid threats targeting infrastructure, and the accession of Finland and Sweden into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization has forced a structural transformation in how the region is defended. NATO's decision to place the entire Nordic area under the authority of Joint Force Command Norfolk marks a historic shift. It is not simply a bureaucratic reorganization, but a redefinition of how Europe's northern security architecture will function for the next generation. The logic behind this restructuring becomes clear when one observes the threat environment that Nordic governments face today. Swedish naval commanders now report encounters with Russian submarines on an almost weekly basis in the Baltic Sea. These are not isolated events, but indicators of heightened Russian activity that stretches from Kaliningrad to the waters between Gotland and the Gulf of Finland. Beyond traditional military threats, Nordic governments have documented a rise in sabotage attempts, cyber intrusions, and possible reconnaissance of underwater cables and pipelines. Offshore wind farms, energy terminals, telecom links, and data infrastructure are now considered potential targets. Russia's reinforcement of the Northern Fleet near Murmansk, including submarines and long-range missile platforms, adds a further layer of complexity. All of this reinforces the need for faster, more unified decision-making within NATO. For NATO, placing the Nordic region under Joint Force Command Norfolk is strategically logical. Norfolk is the only NATO headquarters with a mandate to secure the North Atlantic sea lanes, which are essential for reinforcement from North America to Europe in the event of a crisis. The Nordic region is no longer viewed as a peripheral space, but as the natural extension of this transatlantic line of communication. A single command structure allows for integrated air, maritime, cyber, and intelligence coordination across Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and Greenland. It also eliminates the fragmented command arrangements that existed when Sweden and Finland were outside the alliance. Under this new structure, early warning information flows more freely, and NATO can respond more quickly to emerging threats. The shift carries different implications for each Nordic country. Norway sits at the front line of the Arctic and North Atlantic, areas that are increasingly contested due to climate change, new shipping routes, and Russian military presence. Norway's decision to acquire new submarines and long-range strike missiles is consistent with its role as the guardian of the northern maritime domain. Finland, which shares the longest land border with Russia of any European Union state, has reoriented its defense posture to integrate with NATO's eastern flank. Its ongoing investments in air defense, anti-drone systems, and border surveillance are designed to deter both conventional incursions and hybrid activities. Sweden, having abandoned more than 2 centuries of neutrality, now plays a central role in Baltic security. Its navy faces frequent underwater intrusions, and its air force is adjusting to operate within a collective NATO air defense network. Denmark, Iceland, and Greenland contribute by securing the Greenland-Iceland United Kingdom gap and by expanding surveillance over critical North Atlantic choke points. Beyond national transformations, NATO's restructuring accelerates the long-standing trend toward Nordic military integration. Even before Finland and Sweden joined the alliance, Nordic countries coordinated through NORDEFCO, but the scale of cooperation was limited. Under NATO, integration becomes deeper and more operational. Nordic air forces, which together field more than 250 modern fighters, such as F-35s, Gripens, and upgraded F-16s, can now act as a single coherent air defense grouping. The Nordic maritime posture is similarly converging, with shared anti-submarine capabilities, coordinated patrol patterns, and joint exercises that focus on protecting sea lines of communication. Logistics is another area of rapid progress. Rail networks, ports, airfields, and fuel depots across the region are being standardized to NATO requirements, allowing rapid reinforcement from other members of the alliance. A critical part of this transformation involves protecting infrastructure, which has become a central concern for Nordic citizens. The region hosts a dense network of underwater cables that carry data between Europe and North America, as well as pipelines and offshore energy installations that are essential to European energy security. Recent incidents in the Baltic and North Sea have demonstrated how vulnerable these assets are. Even a limited act of sabotage could disrupt communications, energy supplies, or financial systems. As a result, both NATO and Nordic governments are expanding surveillance of underwater domains, deploying unmanned systems, and strengthening cooperation between civilian and military agencies. Public awareness of these risks is high, and polls indicate that most citizens support stronger security measures, even if they come at economic cost. The restructuring of NATO Command is also altering societal expectations. Nordic countries are reviving variations of the total defense model, which emphasizes preparedness across military and civilian sectors. Finland already maintains one of the most robust reserve systems in Europe, and Sweden is expanding conscription while investing in civil defense shelters. Norway and Denmark are upgrading their emergency readiness frameworks and increasing public communication about potential hybrid threats. Although there are concerns about rising defense spending and the possibility of escalating tensions, most Nordic citizens accept that a more assertive security posture is necessary in the current geopolitical climate. The perceived danger is no longer hypothetical. It is felt in daily news coverage of underwater incidents, drone sightings, and cyber disruptions. The long-term strategic implications are substantial. Europe is developing three major defensive pillars: the Eastern Shield, centered on Poland and the Baltic states, the Southern Shield in Romania and the Black Sea region, and now the Northern Shield, anchored in Scandinavia and the North Atlantic. The Northern Shield is unique because it links the European continent with the transatlantic reinforcement corridor. Without secure passage across Nordic airspace and waters, NATO cannot rely on rapid support from the United States and Canada. This makes the Nordic region a strategic hinge on which the broader security of Europe may depend for decades. NATO's reorganization therefore represents more than a response to current tensions. It is an investment in a long-term security architecture designed to withstand both traditional and hybrid threats. It signals to Russia that the alliance is unified, integrated, and capable of protecting its most vulnerable northern domains. It also signals to Nordic citizens that their countries are no longer isolated actors, but central contributors to European and transatlantic defense. In this evolving environment, the Nordic region is entering a new security era, one defined by closer alliance integration, higher levels of preparedness, and a clearer understanding of the risks posed by an unpredictable neighbor. The transformation may be costly and demanding, but it reflects a shared recognition that peace in the northern latitudes can no longer be taken for granted. The region's future stability will depend on its ability to act collectively, deter aggression, and secure the vital maritime and digital arteries that connect Europe to the wider world.